What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And this is what we at here. So apparently, Trump has came out and spoke about Tylenol being linked to autism. So we're just gonna check this out. You know what I'm saying? Listen, look, I'm not an expert. I don't know. This ran across my timeline, so I decided to, see what was going on basically. I haven't deep dived yet, and I am going to at some point, of course. But let's just check this out. Let's see what's going on here now. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
In a rambling statement, long on opinion, but with little new science, President Donald Trump said the FDA would tell doctors that the use of acetaminophen or Tylenol in pregnancy can increase the risk of autism.
If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol.
FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary pointing to several studies, including one from Mount Sinai, that says prenatal exposure may increase the risk of neurodevelopmental disorders, including autism, but that further research is needed to confirm these associations and determine causality and mechanisms.
Okay, so this is where we at. Hold on here. So further research is definitely needed to actually confirm this situation. But now, you know what I'm saying, we're at the point here, okay, JFK Jr. and, he's our health appointee in the country right now. So obviously he's trying to, of course he's trying to do his thing to try to help the country be more healthy and stuff like that. I'm all for that. The country does need to be healthier. We need healthy foods. We need less, processed ingredients and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. But, so what's being said here is that further research that need to be had. And okay, this is where we at right here. So I'm guessing this is kind of a pre-warning or something like that, if they're saying further research is needed.
Tylenol's maker strongly disagreeing with the White House, saying in a statement that a decade of rigorous research confirms there is no credible evidence linking acetaminophen to autism. And the medical community is not changing its guidance. Tonight, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists still says it is safe to take acetaminophen during pregnancy.
We've been studying that medication for over 20 years. There have been numerous well-designed trials that have come out that have showed safety and efficacy.
The federal government says it's spending $50 million to look for the cause of autism. Despite decades of research showing no connection between vaccines and autism, today Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. brought it up again.
One area that we are closely examining, as the president mentioned, is vaccines.
Tammy Shaw is a nurse.
Show me the science. Show me the good studies. Show me repeat studies.
Her middle child, Jeffrey, has autism.
So adding more uncertainty, especially with something that I can't change, just makes things more confusing and more frustrating and doesn't actually help our kids or the families.
Okay, with that, Ann joins us now live in studio. So, Ann, besides sending this letter to doctors, is the administration taking any other action?
They are. Secretary Kennedy says that they will start the process of a safety label change on acetaminophen products, as well as a national public service campaign. And it will also encourage clinicians to use the lowest dose of acetaminophen for the shortest period of time if it's necessary for pregnant women, Tom.
Okay, and we thank you.
Okay, so this is where we at here. So they're trying to say, to a degree that, acetaminophen can possibly be, a health issue for pregnant women. Now, the studies haven't really came out on this yet and things like that. This is clearly what they said, that further research is needed in order to actually see if acetaminophen, which is technically Tylenol, would be, harmful for pregnant women and will possibly, maybe, induce or kind of, encourage autism in children in the womb. So let's go here now. Let's see what more is being said here.
Breaking this evening, President Trump's new guidance for pregnant women and Tylenol. That guidance playing out on live TV late today, with the president drawing a link between acetaminophen and autism. The president saying pregnant women should not take Tylenol. Tonight, medical groups in this country already reacting to this. ABC's Steve Osunsami on how this played out late today. The new and controversial guidance. Steve is at the CDC headquarters in Atlanta for us.
Here's how the president's message to pregnant women played out on live television tonight.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol.
Hey, that's how you know Trump is a normal person. He can barely pronounce that shit too. Hey, hey, these doctors be coming up with some outrageous names for these medications and procedures and all. Man, it's wild out here, man. But those are doctors, though. You know, allegedly, you know, doctors have the worst handwriting in the world, technically. You know, so anyway, let's keep going.
During pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly.
With Health Secretary RFK Jr. by his side.
Also, I'm wondering because, you know, Tylenol is not just the only pain reliever or headache reliever, things like that on the market. You got aspirin, you know, you got Aleve, you know, things like that, you know, ibuprofen. So, you know, I'm just wondering and things like that. You know, I thought I'd bring that up too as well, because, you know what I'm saying, this is breaking with the Tylenol situation. And Tylenol has been around for quite some time in this country. And we've all taken Tylenol at some point, you know, and I guarantee you there's plenty of women, pregnant women, that have taken Tylenol throughout the decades and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is where we at here. You know, let's keep going.
Who has long shared provably wrong theories about what causes autism. President Trump is warning pregnant women about using the painkiller acetaminophen, commonly sold as Tylenol, saying that there are studies showing a possible link between using the drug during pregnancy with an increased risk of bearing children with autism.
Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example, they have essentially no autism.
But according to scientists, the Amish do indeed have cases of autism.
Today, the FDA will issue a physician's notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy and begin the process to initiate a safety label change.
Leading medical groups say that there have been dozens of large studies over the decades, and not one of them found that acetaminophen causes autism. They worry that pregnant women will now be afraid to take the drug, even when they have a fever, which they say can be more dangerous for the baby.
It's an announcement that is bound to raise so much fear, so much anxiety among pregnant women.
The makers of Tylenol say that their drug is the safest pain reliever option for pregnant women. Dr. Edith Bracho Sanchez is a New York pediatrician who is pregnant with her second child and shares that she's still taking the drug herself.
Uncontrolled fevers in pregnancy pose an increased risk of miscarriage, of neural developmental defects. Knowing what I know about the risks of Tylenol in pregnancy versus the risk of an uncontrolled fever, I would take Tylenol again in this pregnancy.
Tonight, the president is also recommending a new drug to treat autism called leucovorin, a drug usually prescribed to help manage the side effects of chemotherapy. Early studies show that it may help some, but not all autistic children improve speech and comprehension, but it's not at all a cure. And here's something else to add to this. The rate of autism has increased even as the use of Tylenol has decreased among pregnant women. Tylenol is a very important drug for pregnant women because they're told that they shouldn't be using that other painkiller, ibuprofen, because that drug increases the risk of miscarriage. David?
Yeah, this could actually bring a little more confusion out there. So, Steve, we really appreciate it. I know you'll stay on this to help clarify all of this for American.
Wow. So, you know, and I brought up ibuprofen. So apparently what this gentleman here just said, that ibuprofen does increase the risk of, you know, hold on. Let's go back.
And here's something else to add to this. The rate of autism has increased even as the use of Tylenol has decreased among pregnant women. Tylenol is a very important drug for pregnant women because they're told that they shouldn't be using that other painkiller, ibuprofen, because that drug increases the risk of miscarriage.
So ibuprofen increases the risk of miscarriage. Jesus. Okay, hold on. I don't think hold on. I think that information could work in a very dangerous way. Ibuprofen will increase the dangers of miscarriage. Hold on here. Hold on. Oh, man. Jesus Christ. I don't think we need another deletion pill out here. Who knew that? These studies are very serious, and this is the thing here. You know, get down in the comments and let me know what you guys are thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, look, this is not a complete study, I don't think yet. You know what I'm saying? Like was, you know, like the broadcast, like the video I showed you earlier, you know what I'm saying? They said that they still had to do studies on the Tylenol situation as far as when it comes to the link between pregnant women using Tylenol and autism. But at the end of this, you know what I'm saying, we're hearing this gentleman say here that, you know, ibuprofen can also be linked to, you know, a certain amount of women, you know, losing their children during pregnancy. This is wild right here. This is wild, man. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think, you know, about this whole entire scenario here. This is crazy. You know, we've been using Tylenol for quite some time in this country, you know, both men and women, stuff like that. You know, I guarantee pregnant women have been using Tylenol for a long period of time in this country and stuff like that. And, you know, now they're trying to link it to, you know, it's a possibility that Tylenol could be linked to autism if used during pregnancy and things like that. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. You know, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just bringing the news to everybody. And, you know, if you are a professional and, you know, you come across this broadcast right here, let me know. I really would like the, you know, professional information and stuff like that from doctors that are actually knowledgeable about this situation. This is wild out here. So, you know, Tylenol may be too dangerous for women to take, you know, with high fever, stuff like that during pregnancy. And also, too, from what's being said right here at the end of this, ibuprofen could, you know, possibly, you know, lead to, you know, miscarriages during pregnancy. Like, you know,
what the French toast is there to think
wow. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.